Hey everybody, I switched from the Blackmagic 6K to the Sony FX3. Is it worth it? Do I regret it? For years, I used Blackmagic cameras. All except for one of my short films were all shot on a Blackmagic camera. So why did I switch? There were just some flaws that, as a solo, low crew filmmaker, steered me away from the Blackmagic cameras. So first, let's talk about the main differences that really pushed me towards the FX3 over the Blackmagic 6K. First, ergonomics. The camera is just smaller. And I know if you held a measuring tape to it, probably not too much difference, but the way the camera is set up, you can just hold it in your hands by itself with a lens, and it feels like you're just holding a photo camera, like a normal standard photo camera. I used to put the 6K on an RS2 gimbal, but to make it run on a gimbal, I had to do so many additional things. I had to have a small V-mount battery on the bottom of the gimbal. I had to have a LiDAR system to get autofocus so that I could really focus on just holding the camera and getting the shots. I had to attach an external monitor because you couldn't see the monitor on the 6K. The new 6Ks I know pivot, but the regular 6K did not. So all those things added up to way too much weight. The gimbal would go out of whack, and how you can just literally take the camera body, put it on the RS2 and go. There's no additional stuff. You've got the monitor. You can touch to focus on there. You can do everything you need to on the monitor, even though it's small. Audio handle on the top, which is great for shotgun mic, and I have balanced it, and the RS2 handled it with ease. There's no wires. There's no cables to connect the audio, whereas I was having to run F3, zoom, velcroed onto a V-mount battery, run the cable, to the mic, have the mic clamped on the gimbal, and it became this whole big rig that I just couldn't operate for long periods of time without something going wrong. So the FX3, it just makes it easy. I pop the camera on the RS2 and I go. The internal battery's great. It lasts long enough. I just swap it out real quick when it dies. I don't need a heavy V-mount. The top handle is light, easy, and as long as you lavalier your talent as well, you're going to get all the audio that you need. Also, of course, everyone's talked about it. It's been well versed over the internet. The FX3 is the low light king. That was a big thing to me. And while I do agree that more light is always good, there are situations where you just can't get it. You're under a street light on a run and gun shoot. You're in just a low light room and you don't have as many places to put a light, or you really don't have a strong enough light to come through the window for moonlight, something like that. For a run and gun filmmaker, that is a game changer and just something Blackmagic didn't have. And of course, probably the biggest reason that I switched to Sony and the FX3 is the autofocus capability. Now, of the time of filming this, of course, Blackmagic released a firmware update for the 6K with autofocus. I mean, Sony's just been at it for so long. They've just got it dialed in. There are so many options to get the focus you need, whether you're on a gimbal, on your shoulder rig. I can trust it to get in focus what I need to get in focus. So it becomes an issue that I don't have to think about. A non-issue. And for somebody who shoots most of the time as a solo filmmaker, I have so many other things I'm looking at in a shot: framing, lighting, watching the performance, getting ready to give direction if it's needed. All of that I was also worrying about focus. And the autofocus isn't working in the middle of the shot. Crap, so now I have to go to manual focus, and it just, in your head, it becomes this whole jumbled mess. Of course, there are always negatives. I would say the biggest negative, I loved using the Blackmagic B-RAW 6K in DaVinci Resolve. It was so fluid, so smooth. But as with everything, DaVinci Resolve keeps releasing updates, and I really have grown to love the Cinetone S-Log 3. It's really grown on me. And I've loved grading it. I've loved working with it. Blackmagic had that grit feel. It felt very almost real, documentary. And in my newest film, The Book of the Witch, that's really what I was going for. But Sony kind of mixes that with this kind of elegance. There's something kind of elegant of the roll off into the shadows. I'll miss the B-RAW workflow. But I think I'm starting to really love the S-Log. The other negative, I guess, would be Sony lenses, so E-mount. They're just more expensive, but I have always loved Rokinon lenses. That's just been my lens for as long as I've used cameras. I got some $200 Rokinon lenses that I'm using actually right now, even my 35mm. I get a set of 3, no matter what camera I've had. I have a wide, then a medium, like a 35, and then I'll do a tight one, so I have a 75. And they were maybe $200 a piece, so it wasn't a huge trade-off as far as pricing goes for lenses. But again, compatibility, you know, you have to go to Sony Lenses, is what it is, but it's part of the autofocus too. It all just works in unison and works really well. One other negative I think about when I think about my Blackmagic 6K versus the FX3 is storage. So with the Blackmagic 6K, but again, this added to the weight and the distribution of weight on a gimbal and all that, it's storage. So you could just put an SSD on the Blackmagic and you're off to the races. 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, whatever you want to do, you plug the USB-C in. But I found some great cards, which I'll put in the description below, for this camera that don't break the bank compared to like the Sony Tough cards. They're really affordable, so I haven't had as big of a problem as far as storage goes, but that is something to consider when switching over from the 6K to the FX3. Beyond that, I've loved everything about the FX3. It's been as advertised and it's just performed. And the autofocus just does not let you down, which again was probably the biggest selling point for me. And if you're like me and you're a solo filmmaker or a small crew filmmaker and you're gonna be the one handling the camera, this is, in my opinion, the way to go. Do I regret upgrading? Yes, I called it an upgrade from the 6K to the FX3. No, I don't. I would recommend this camera to anyone. If you can spend a little bit of extra money to get an FX3, I would say do it. Be ready, you know, to upgrade the lenses and all that good stuff. But I think in the long run, you'll find the size of it, the compatibility of it between the autofocus, its lenses, the Shinobi 2 is the main monitor a lot of people use for the touch to focus on an external monitor. And I cannot wait to shoot my next film on this camera. And that film will be in a lot of low light situations. So I cannot wait to just have this beast feast. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree? Put it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. I'll see you in the next video.